Guys, welcome back to Ken's Cinema Sofa. If it's your first time here, I'm your brother Ken, a missionary of 12 years in Japan, serving as a Bible teacher and preacher. But this channel is all about celebrating my other passion, awesome cinema. So yeah, guys, tonight we're back on the Makoto Shinkai train. I want to thank you so much for your subscriptions, for your recommendations of his other films. I enjoyed Kimi no Nawa, Your Name, last time. And I've seen already, what was his other film? Children Who Follow Lost Voices, I think is the name. That was my first film, I think, from him. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Weathering with You. I'm sorry that one is taking so much time. I'm trying to find a way to hard code subtitles, and you know, it's rough. I really want to have Japanese audiences to be able to watch it too. I don't want to just watch it dubbed. I've gotten some thank yous from people in Japan that are watching it, and they've really been taxing my Japanese kanji writing skills, but I'm loving it. Thank you guys, you're welcome. I appreciate you. Really looking forward to getting into tonight's film, 5 centimeters per second. That one is probably going to be dubbed because that's the easiest way for me to get it to you as soon as possible. I'm still going to work in the future to have more Japanese films, more Japanese animated films in the original language, not dubbed. Sometimes dubbed is awesome, Cowboy Bebop, but most times. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Makoto Shinkai, 5 centimeters per second. Please like and subscribe, join the community, come and hang out with us on the sofa. It'll be a great blessing and pleasure to me to be able to talk to you, answer your questions, and get even more recommendations. So let's get to it. Okay, so we're already getting into the mono no aware, the Japanese aesthetic of transient beauty, the sadness of beauty that is traveling and leaving, right? The art style looks a lot simpler. I can tell this is one of his earlier films.
The summers here can get pretty hot. Compared to Tokyo, it's still much cooler though. I think I actually prefer the humid summers of Tokyo.
Really?
The melting hot
A lot of people here complain about it.
Shimmery.
Do you still remember me? I'm having some really good feelings right now looking at this because I started my first several years in Japan as an English teacher way out in the boonies, Ibaraki Prefecture. But I was from Chicago, city boy, so I didn't know anything about listening to the song of frogs singing in the rice fields, and that's what they called it, singing.
So, is it true you're moving?
Mm-hmm.
Where to?
Kagoshima.
Well, I'm gonna miss you.
I think that's in Kyushu.
I got my
I had
haircut
my
the other
haircut
day.
the other day.
It's so short my ears are showing.
It's kind of cute
Hi, Mom.
and so like Inaka countryside style when the girls get their haircut so short.
Dear Takaki, are you doing well during these cold days?
Dude, I hope he's writing back. Knowing many Japanese young guys, probably not. Even if they have feelings, they like keep it in, you know? Tochigi.
Where have you ever been to Tochigi? Where? Tochigi. No. Wonder how you get there.
Tochigi. Oh, so he wants to go there. Love going to Tochigi doing the strawberry picking. They got so many farms where they welcome you. You pay a little fee and you can just eat as many strawberries as you want.
But Kagoshima is kind of far.
Wow, Kagoshima, so they're like on like opposite ends of Japan.
I'm so happy you're coming up to see me on March the 4th.
It'll
be
have
1
been a
year
year since
I
we last
saw you.
met.
I wish you
that
could
day.
bring springtime with you.
This is sweet. Those notebooks. See those everywhere. You know, all this kind of reminds me of the biblical book, The Song of Solomon, written between King Solomon of Israel, son of David, yes, that David, and his new bride, longing to see each other. And this girl
always hangs out here, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he's alone today. Where's Mimi, huh? It's lonely being alone.
Yeah, you know, like that Mono no Aware that I talked about before. It's kind of soaked into this movie, this story. Even the constant sunset image looks like the sun is always setting. It's like they're stuck in that mode of changing, beauty transforming, right?
It was only natural the two of us would become friends. And of course, gave our classmates the reason they needed to tease us.
I got busted for passing love notes in class
We definitely
when I was in
middle school.
5th grade. Both of us had to go to the principal's office and she was crying, you know. Me, I was like,
This was the first time I'd come to Shinkai
wow.
alone.
First time, huh? You'll get lost in there. It's like a city. This feels like the prototype of Kimi no Nawa. I mean, Kimi no Nawa is much deeper, richer. This feels like a sketch.
But you've already been accepted in Nishi Junior High.
They're transferring my records to a school in Tochigi.
You don't have to say you're sorry, but
I asked if I could stay in Katsushika with my aunt, but they said no
Aww.
because I wasn't old enough yet.
I'm sorry to hear that. Lunime. It's supposed to be Lumine. I guess they had to do that. Utsunomiya is popular. It's known for gyoza. Just a little side note. It's so beautiful taking a train in Japan through the winter landscape like that. There's even a train up north that I have not found yet. It's a legendary treasure. I'm searching for it, where they have like a wood burning stove on the train and you can enjoy eating. Everyone enjoys the scenery. It's beautiful.
Please rest assured that we are doing everything we can to resume service. Thank you for your patience.
and every time the train
And each
stopped,
time the train stopped at
forever
the
before
station,
it
it
started
seemed
on
like
its
an
way again.
eternity.
The unfamiliar snowy wasteland outside the train.
This must be during a time before Keitais cell phones, smartphones.
She was probably starting to worry.
I guess this is goodbye.
I got the first letter from her. I read it over and over again until I had it memorized.
I know that some people, like, they just would have checked out by now. They can't get with this type of storytelling, but I love this. You know, it's no problem for me. I can slow down. Got the little soba stand over there, soba noodles, keeping people warm while they're waiting on a love. Oh no. Oh no. What? Could that be symbolic too? Changing, right? Happiness, a season of life leaving. Shinkai knows.
Our scheduled arrival at the next station has been delayed due to heavy snow in the area.
This kid, he can't catch a break, man.
Service, and we apologize for the...
Kari, it'd be better if you just went home.
I like that. I was just thinking about that girl's name is Akari, which means light in Japanese. And that's what she's like. That's her personality. So what I've seen so far. Ah. Wow. That's beautiful. Man, this is wonderful, it's beautiful, but that's such a like typical Japanese male behavior, right? Instead of embracing her,
Yeah?
just stand there, let her sob. But this is a country where, as I've said before in my other videos, everything is economical. It's not just interior design and things like that, and food representation and presentation. That is the way it is because that's a filtered effect of how the people are basically inside, even with their emotions, There's not, even when people say I love you in Japan, like it's not normal for them to say I love you. They will say I really like you, daisuki. You could say aishiteru, which means I love aishiteru, but that's like not the normal, average, everyday way of expressing yourself to someone that you love.
I didn't know what to do with these feelings. Her warmth, her soul. How was I supposed to treat them?
It's a powerful thing, man. Like, you can look at so many romance films, look at as many as you want, but the reality is when you press your lips against another person's, that's another soul, that's a whole nother life world that you have to take responsibility for if you're going to be in a relationship with them, right? I can see that Shinkai, as I said before, that this is kind of a prototype of his later films because the styles seem to change throughout this film. Sometimes they look very realistic and other times much more simplistic, borderline cartoony, but still in a somber way.
I'm gonna write you. I'm gonna
Yes,
call
there
you.
you go. Write to her, call her. Don't let her do the heavy lifting, man. Okay, we've gotten science fiction now.
Can I? Going back after school?
Yeah. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure. But don't forget, you gotta study, okay?
I believe this is called Kyudo. Japanese archery.
Morning, Takaki. You're here early again.
So are you. You go to the beach?
Sure did.
I'm probably going to a junior college in Kumamoto.
What about you, Kanai?
So is this all taking place in Kyushu? The southernmost island of the big main islands of Japan?
Why are you in such a hurry? I won't be able to tell him before we graduate.
Ah, here we go. Gotta get the hair looking right. Man, is she waiting that long for this guy?
Wanna go together?
If I'd had a tail like a dog then, he would have known how happy I was, because it would have been wagging so hard. The dog
You know,
after
like,
all.
there are people today in the 21st century, the way we are, trying to be cool and look cool. People would say, like, get a life or something like that, but this is love and romance in its purest sense. That's why I say it reminds me of the Song of Solomon.
I even studied hard so I could get into the same high school. Every time I see Takaki, I fall even more in love with him. Sometimes I'd see Takaki texting someone, and every time I'd think it would be so awesome if I were the one he was texting.
Hey, isn't that your girlfriend?
It's not like
Can't even tell the boy I like that I like him. I can't do anything right. He's so nice to me. Sometimes it makes me want to cry. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow.
I don't think anybody knows.
Don't you?
Of course not.
But you seem like you've got everything figured out.
Not at all. I get lost and confused like everyone else does.
Sailing out into the unknown. I really get the feeling in this movie, in these different stories, the kind of, as I said before, the kind of heartache, longing to continue in this moment as things are changing, but also that kind of fear of the unknown in the future.
This year's gonna be the first launch in a while.
Yeah, it's going to the edge of the solar system. It must be an unimaginably lonely trip, cutting straight through the darkness of truth. To the point where you can't even find a single hydrogen atom. How far will we go to find those answers? How far can we go?
That has got to be artistic. I don't, nobody has been able to see that from Earth, right? It has to be like when they're together, that's how they feel.
I'm gonna take it one step at a time from now on. See ya! First time in 6 months, I got to ride a wave.
stuck the landing. So she's got like a energy courage boost from riding that wave. I like the way Shinkai presents this. He presents it, there's sci-fi themes and romance so downplayed and minimalist. It's almost like a slice of life of a day in the Japanese countryside. And I would know more than most foreigners how that feels, having lived here for, over a decade.
I'll walk you home.
Oh, you don't have to. I can walk home by myself.
Yeah, something like so much goes unsaid. There's a phrase in Japanese, an idiom called kuki o yomu. Means like reading the air. And I know people say, hey, we do that all over the world, every culture, but that's true, but not so much as in Japan, where people can go their whole lives and not actually say how they really feel about each other.
You okay?
Sorry. Please.
Don't be so nice to me.
Don't be nice to me.
Ooh. Is this, I don't know, maybe it's not, but I thought, is this the animation? It couldn't be, because this film is more than halfway over, but there's an anime of a story of two lovers that keep sending each other emails, and one of them is further away in space, and the further away she goes or he goes, the longer it takes for the emails to get to each other. I could have sworn I saw that. But this reminds me of that. Or maybe I read about it. I don't know. You guys, let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about.
Without a doubt, that Takagi was definitely not looking at me. I know the wish I had about Takagi will never come true.
This is like how she's feeling inside whenever she's thinking of him and they're standing in that space looking at the stars and that planet, and she's basically over the moon in love with this guy. In the Song of Solomon, the Bible book that I talked about, the way that she would write when she talks about Solomon. And Solomon would write the same way when talking about her and comparing her neck to Tower of David, that houses the shields and swords of 1,000 mighty men, This is 3,000 years ago, man. That probably did it for girls back then. But still, it's beautiful. It's shamelessly beautiful and romantic. Oh. So this really is a prototype of Kimi no Na wa, because that's what happened. If you don't know, if you haven't watched Your Name, cover your ears right now, okay? That's what happened at the end of the film, but yet they did turn back. Oh, this is Shinjuku, isn't it? It's downstairs, yeah. Sorry. So I'm wondering if it's going to play out the same way or if this is going to be much more somber.
Cook something nice for him, okay?
I will.
Call us anytime you need to, okay, dear?
Don't worry,
Akari.
Mom. I'll be fine.
So we're back with the original characters from the beginning.
I dreamt of the past last night. It was back when he and I were still really young.
Okay, this guy's smoking now. Okay, it's obviously he's older. I like the visual storytelling. They don't just shove the information down your throat, how old he is.
As I went about my life, bits of sadness had piled up here and there. The message said, I still love you. It was from the girl I'd been with for the last 3 years. Even after exchanging 1,000 text messages, our hearts only got 1 centimeter closer to each other. I was reaching for something I couldn't have, but I didn't even know what I was reaching for. Couldn't figure out where those kinds of thoughts came from, why they were threatening me like that.
It's funny, how this becomes the standard life for many people in Japan. But there have been some changes. Companies are trying to make changes now. They actually turn the lights out now, some companies, to stop people from doing over time. I've seen it, actually, because I taught business English.
We thought
that we'd go see the cherry blossoms together again someday.
he and I.
Is that it? Is this how it ends? I mean, if it does, I would not be surprised in the least. I was going to skip it all, but it's hard to skip it. You know, he does that artistically. It's not just to, you know, give a paycheck to a up-and-coming music group. Yeah. The music and the scenes go together. 5 centimeters per second. That was a very interesting experiment, I feel, in love, loss, regret, maturity of love, learning about the lost art of verbal love making. The world today knows all about physical love making and getting, you know, raunchy with musical lyrics and all of that. But this is all about that ancient lost art of romantic love and poetic love and kind of bearing the soul genuinely. And so many in today's society are just not used to that because there's kind of, I feel, a kind of sensory overload of love and just dating. As a student of the Bible, as a teacher of the Bible, I love the way that the Bible presents romantic love. A lot of people think that God is against love and sexuality and all that. The Bible is very clear that God is the author of those things, and they are good. They're beautiful. Anyone that's been in love and you know, gotten married, experienced the sensation, the goosebump-inducing shiver of touching the person that you love, their cheek, and looking in their eyes and seeing the shine of, you know, beaming back at you and knowing that this person has the same feelings for you. All of that comes from the Creator, comes from God. He's the one that's given the gift to experience that. And the end result of that is a new being, a new creature that bears the face of both of you. I mean, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's mysterious, it's frightening in some ways. I mean, that's why people, they get so afraid and their stomachs turn inside out. Believe me, I know. I think the fear that comes in is that you realize, as opposed to films and even dirty films and things like that, that the person that you're holding and you feel their heartbeat next to yours and you feel their warmth, you're reminded that this is not a 2D character as you would see in a film or read in a story. They have their own mind. They're not necessarily going to do what you want them to do. They're an entire world, and they have people that love them, and they're just as real as you. The fact that they are still in your arms looking at you, it's kind of, it causes fear. It's like, oh my God, what do I do with this? And so I love that all of that is wrapped up in the feelings of love and romance, and all of that speaks of the complexity of God. You know, it's Him as the author of this human feeling and ideal. When we read in the Song of Solomon, which is King David's son, Solomon, the wise Solomon. Solomon wrote a series of letters to a Shunammite woman, as I talked about earlier. And she wrote back to him. And when you read their letters in the Song of Solomon, which is a book in the Old Testament of the Bible, it can make you blush. You know, I taught a Bible study with some older Japanese women, and we went into that book because they asked me about it. And as we were reading it, some of them, their faces turned red. I don't want to say graphic, but it gets detailed. I mean, as King Solomon is speaking about all the beautiful and lovely parts of this woman that he's loved and passionate for, but yet has kept himself from her to keep her purity, but he's desiring after her, and she is desiring after him. And the thing I love about it, which I saw lacking in this film from the male point of view, is King Solomon replied to this young lady. I mean, he was clear, my darling, your hair is like flowing like locks and your eyes are like doe's eyes. The Shunammite is open. She's open and she is clearly smitten with Solomon, and she has no qualms about showing that. She is totally courageous in her love and is willing to become totally vulnerable. She says, look, here he comes, my darling, dancing across the mountains, right? I mean, that is beautiful. So in Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 8, if you do not know, O most beautiful among women, follow in the tracks of the flock and pasture your young goats beside the shepherd's tent. I compare you, my love, to a mare among Pharaoh's chariots. Your cheeks are lovely with ornaments, your neck with strings of jewels. This is a man, remember now, this is 3,000 years ago. This was a man in a culture where men would have no problem in battle with taking your head off with one slice, okay? They were masculine, but yet when they came back home and they put the war aside, they didn't rejoice in war. They did what they had to do. When they would come back home, their hearts were open to their wives and to their fiancés and those that they pursued. They saw them as a gift, a soul that is given as a gift from God, from the Creator. And so when I look in Shinkai's film, which he might be trying to bring out, the men in this film, the young boys, they are not so receptive. They're not open with their feelings until it's too late, you know? And sometimes they can't be faulted because many times their fathers were doing the same things, and their fathers and their fathers, and you know, it happens that way. It comes down through the male line, you know. Anyway, guys, back to the film. I really liked it. I as I said before, I really feel that it is a prototype, kind of slides of Makoto Shinkai's feelings and experimentation with what his films will be about. It looks like something that he would have made in film school or in animation school. And I like that. I like to see the rough workings of an artist and comparing it to their later work. Sometimes the rough workings or the rough draft becomes even more valuable to collectors than the kind of polished, finished pieces later on, like a Da Vinci or Michelangelo sketch that's been found. I mean, many times those are worth millions. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed it. If my analysis seemed to be rough, it's because the film itself was rough and experimental. So I was just trying to give you my rawest feelings and expressions rather than trying to rehearse it too much. I'm back again. We're going to get into the Indiana Jones trilogy, and I'm looking forward to commenting and analyzing that. I have seen those films, but I just got to get back into them. There's so much to talk about. Thank you for joining me tonight, and God bless you wherever you are in the world. From Tokyo, see you next time on the sofa.